Oh, one thumb down already. That's nice.
Nice.
That's nice. Oh, you know what I forgot to do? We're live. I forgot to do the intro.
Oops.
Don't frazzle my It's the Woodworking Morning Show.
All right, I'm not going to make you sit through that whole thing.
Hey.
That would be silly. I did have somebody complain about that. Like, how do I get that 30 seconds of my life back? What's the deal with that intro? And I was like, look, man, it's a live show. Oh, that's a good face. 30 seconds gives us time to breathe and get ready. It also gives people time to get the notification and show up, right? It's a live show. Things happen a little differently.
But I'm sorry, if you're not ready, 30 seconds isn't going to help.
That's true. 30 seconds ain't fixing anything here.
They're not going to fix anything today.
No, and honestly, for that guy, what would he have done better with his 30 seconds?
I don't know.
He would have put his finger in his butt. That's what he would have done, Nicole. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
It is the Woodworking Morning Show. I'm Mark.
And I'm Nicole.
And today we're going to answer some questions from the community about woodworking. We do receive support from you lovely people, which we really appreciate. I'm going to thank some people who helped us out on Patreon. That's patreon.com/WoodWhisperer. As well as on YouTube. There's the whole membership thing there. There's a little join button if you're on a desktop. I don't think they've gotten their crap together on mobile yet, so you might not be able to find it there. But it's a similar thing to the Patreon support. Not a requirement, but certainly always appreciated. It's like a tip. So we want to thank some new folks who joined us recently. Kevin Howell, Michael Donovan, Colin R23, John Jordan, and Cave Troll. Gotta love a good Cave Troll.
Isn't it Trolley from Mike the Knight?
Is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I never paid attention to that.
Ava and I are reading Mike the Knight books.
Okay, that's cool.
It was Trolley that was making the noise.
Oh, okay. Good to know. Stupid
For
Trolley.
those of you who have kids, you know exactly what I'm talking about. For those that you don't, you're lucky.
How's your funkin'?
I haven't had it yet. It feels hot.
Nicole came into the kitchen, and I'm not sure what you were doing.
I was trying. So we have a little hot water spigot.
Were you adding hot water to it?
I wanted to add hot water to it to give it a little bit of an extra,
little boost?
it was a little lukewarm. So I'm like, oh, I've done this before. I just add a little bit of hot water, I'm good. And my hands didn't work. I'm like,
the
all
whole
over.
thing just falls. Some F-bombs were dropped. And so then I made some more coffee and tried to create a fake Dunkin' for her using her cup. And that's why I'm calling it a Funkin' this morning.
Thank you.
Okay. We also want to mention a couple of things. Woodworkers Fighting Cancer is still going on.
So the 18th for the auctions,
okay.
19th, I believe, for submissions.
Yes.
And we haven't gotten that many submissions.
Yeah.
So.
I'm getting a few on social that I'm like, hey, use the support form.
Yeah, I'm managing all
form.
through the support form, which is at the WoodWhisperer.com. I can't talk
WoodWhisperer.com/submit. I don't know. Go to the Woodworkers Fighting Cancer page for all the details, including the link to the submission page. And the last thing I want to mention here, auctions too. We still have those excellent auctions. Is my dice tower still ahead of Matt's?
It still is ahead of Matt's.
I edged ahead
There's
of Matt.
There's like a little
Matt has his cutting
competition.
Well, it's unspoken totally because I think you and I talk about it.
Yeah.
I was looking at how much Matt was getting for his cutting board and then how little I was getting for my dice tower, and I'm like, ah! And it's all in good fun. Obviously, the more money we get for these things, the more goes to the charity.
Yeah. All of it goes, 100% of your bid will go to the charity.
Yep.
And then once you make your donation, that's when you get the item.
You get your thing.
So Fuji Spray gave us a Q5 Platinum HVLP system.
That's the one that I have.
It retails for $1,400.
The thing is amazing.
It's only at $700 right now. So if you're in the market,
whoa. So that normally when we have tools in the auctions, they go for at least retail plus a little bit more. This is a donation, right?
You're right.
That's $700 and it retails for $1,400?
Yeah.
By the end of this show, it's going to be up to $1,400.
Well,
now
people are just waiting towards the end of the auction.
Yeah, to just snipe it. Holy smokes.
The Bell Forest Rubo wood package that they donated.
Yeah.
17. It's around $1,200. It's only at $900.
Yeah.
So.
Let's see.
So yeah,
Jeremiah,
go to the auctions.
Yeah, go to the auctions. Jeremiah wants to know how I like the charger in my desk. I'm not even using it.
What?
Well, I even said in the video, I don't have much luck charging through my case with I've got one of those credit card cases in
Yeah.
there, so I just don't use it
It
because
doesn't even really take phone calls. You always have to use my phone.
it takes phone calls. It just doesn't take phone calls in the office.
Yeah, well.
Okay, and last thing I want to mention, one more week to get Brian Benham's Sketchup Project
Oh, yeah.
in the guild at the discounted rate. That's woodwhispererguild.com. I'm saying the link of the name, Nicole, and you're talking.
I don't care.
Clearly. Clearly, I'm trying to do a pitch here.
Okay.
So that's at woodwhispererguild.com. It's $35, gets you into the guild. You're a full-fledged guild member. For folks who aren't familiar, you don't lose anything. It's not a monthly membership. You just buy that project, you become a guild member for life, and you get access to the Facebook group, and you get access to the guild meetings and interviews and all that stuff. It's all good.
For life.
I think people are so used to the monthly
Yeah.
charge thing. They want to know, how soon do I lose access?
Right.
When can I no longer watch the thing I paid
Yeah.
for? That stuff doesn't happen in the guild. We don't run the guild that
Well,
way.
and I had someone, I was talking to a friend of mine who, her husband is a woodworker. He's like, oh, he doesn't feel like he's ready for the guild. I'm like, no. He is ready for the guild.
Yep.
Like,
If you don't think you're ready, you're ready.
You're new. It's meant to walk you through.
It's like saying, I don't think I'm ready to learn woodworking.
Right.
Because that's what it's about. The projects may look difficult, but the instruction is geared to walk you through the process.
It's all a series of steps.
Okay, so let's do some questions.
Hey, we got some questions.
Shall we?
I'm going to take questions from YouTube.
Yeah.
I've already grabbed a few, but if you do have questions and you're wondering why he hasn't answered it yet, it's because I'm storing them and then I will ask them.
Yep.
When he breaks, which doesn't happen often.
Sometimes I stop talking. It's not often though. Just ask my kids. Drives them crazy. Okay, Andrew Slaughterback wrote in. He says, do you ever pre-sand your parts before you put a project together to help save time and effort in getting all into the corners? If so, what grit do you pre-sand up to prior to assembly and final sanding? So yes, absolutely. I sometimes overthink what a person is asking me, and this I think it goes to the core and some sort of simplicity of that finishing process. I was thinking more complicated like pre-finishing. He's just talking about sanding. So 100%, I almost always will sand parts to the final grit, basically as far as I can go before assembly, because who wants to sand inside a cabinet, right? The only time I don't really do this, I might pre-sand a little bit to get some milling marks out, but if I put a door together, maybe like a frame and panel, or any place where two parts come together, and I need those two parts to remain flush, right? Usually after the glue up, they're not going to be flush, so you have to sand those parts anyway. That's something you can't really get around, but you can actually pre-sand or scrape or do a little bit of work before assembly and then finish it off. How far do I go in the grits? Depends on how far I want to go for the finish, right? So whatever that grit is has nothing to do with the assembly process. It's more just about what grit are you sanding to prior to finishing. And that could be anywhere from 150 to 180 to 220, and then some people get nuts and go way higher than that. So that's totally up to you.
Let's see. Sean, Spain, says, any advice for using a panel raising bit with a back cutter? This thing scares the bejesus out of me. Mm-hmm. I've run a few test cuts and it keeps getting kicked back.
Okay, so a couple things you could probably do. Maybe don't take the entire thing in one bite. Those things you can kind of sneak into it. So bring your fence forward and take it slowly. Take it as slow as it takes. I mean, a lot of times it seems like you're taking a lot of extra time to do it, but it's totally worth it if you feel like it's increasing your safety factor there. So move that fence forward and maybe go back a 1/4 inch at a time, until you get back to the full depth so you can make that panel. There's really no reason to take it all in one go. I've seen people do it. It's certainly possible, but depending on the species of wood you're using, how sharp the bit is, those things can be kind of scary. So take it slow, take it a little bite at a time. I do have a video, it's an old one, on making a raised panel like that using that kind of a bit set that you might check out. So just go to thewoodwhisperer.com, search for raised panel, you should find it.
Bada bing?
Yes,
bada
bada
boom.
bing, bada boom. Brian Thorpe wants to know if he could buy the Sketchup course for someone else.
I pulled, so here's the problem. You see questions, I pull them to ask.
Yeah.
So,
Okay,
no, there's no, I've been looking into a way to gift projects.
It's a little tricky the way we have things set up.
Well, it's not even, it's part of the software. It's a WooCommerce thing. So there's nothing that allows me for you to buy that for someone else.
But we do have gift certificates.
Yes, there are
so
gift
certificates. So you can buy someone a gift certificate
and
of
say,
that equivalent
use it by this
value.
date.
Well, you could say, yeah, use it by this date, but use it for this thing.
But
I bought you access to that project.
It's not as fun.
Well, Nicole, I'm just trying to make money here.
I know. I know.
Give me a break, woman.
I understand where he's coming from.
No, totally. It is
Yeah.
much more fun to say, I bought you this thing, as opposed to, here's a gift certificate. Like buying someone a gift certificate at a regular store.
Right.
Right? But some people like that.
Okay.
Would you rather I bought you an article of clothing or got you a gift certificate?
Gift certificate, yeah.
Exactly.
Because you don't know what you're
a
getting.
nice gift card.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you would have a nice cable knit sweater with my face on it.
I feel like, thanks.
Yeah. Okay. Michael Donovan says, I scored a few black walnut trees a few years ago from an Amish guy. I had them milled, air dried, them for a year, then had them killed and dried. Since I got a remarkable deal and I own them right, I believe I could score big in selling them. Okay, anyone who uses score big in the world of wood makes me laugh.
What is it?
What is score big? Because
You
like,
score big?
I'm just thinking like people who think in terms of like, I'm going to get this wood for free and then sell it. There's just not that much profit in wood in general. Go ask Matt about scoring big. He gets all of his trees for free. You know what I mean? Like, anyway, I get it. You're going to make a profit on it, and that's a good thing. All right, where am I?
I don't know. You went off on a
Made
tangent.
myself laugh. Okay, so he wants to turn them into projects, either as slabs or milling my own dimensional lumber. Problem I'm having is finding consistent pricing to base their board foot value off of. Any tips or guidance would be greatly appreciated. Okay, I'm not the wood guy, right? So I also live in Denver. I don't know exactly where you live, but a lot of times these things are regional. So the first thing I would do is look at what other places are selling this material for. Look at your local hardwood dealers, see if you could find a board foot price on the milled material, and you can kind of then base your slabs, higher than that. A lot of times the slabs are going to be more expensive. But look around at what other people are charging, and that's your starting point. Anytime I would price something, that's how I would do it. Look at what the competition is charging, and then make a decision that's appropriate for your business. And good luck scoring big.
Brian W. says, for the Sketchup class, do you need to be online at a dedicated time, or is it a video series that I can watch in my free time, like I have any free time? The second, it is something you can either stream from the site or you can download it for offline viewing. Not many woodworking online schools do that. In fact, I think we're probably one of the only ones that let you do that.
Probably one of the few that let you do that, yeah. Someone goes, will it be in Zoom meetings? I'm like, Zoom is amateur hour. Come on.
Come on.
Come on, man.
So the system that we use when we upload the videos, it allows chaptering, so you can see exactly what will be talked about in that lesson. And it's all broken down in lessons.
Yeah.
I need to turn my...
You got notifications.
I got a notification.
The WoodWhisperer's
We're live! It was only 12 minutes ago.
Okay. Patrick says, is pine really that bad to build furniture out of, or should I use a hardwood like alder instead? Some people like pine furniture. They like the look, maybe they like the feel, they like working with it, and it's
Pine is
fairly
fine.
It's inexpensive.
We have a t-shirt.
Yeah, we have a t-shirt that says pine is fine. I'm on record as saying pine is fine. Is pine my favorite wood to work with? Is it the wood I would suggest you work with? Well, yeah, if you want to work with pine. If you don't want to work with pine, if you want to move toward hardwoods and you plan to branch out and the budget is there, then yeah, try something like alder. And really alder, I use alder quite a bit, but alder really is only a slight step up from pine. It's still very soft and very lightweight. So, but it does mill fairly nicely. You could finish it up so it looks like cherry. You could finish it up so it's not going to look like walnut, but you can put a nice dark stain on it, but you do have to be careful with blotching with it. And depending on where you are located, especially if you're West Coast, alder is going to be pretty darn inexpensive. In Arizona, man, that's all anyone would use down there was alder. I was going through alder like crazy. So it's a pretty good option. I think if you're just starting out, while pine can be a good inexpensive choice and a good one to learn about woodworking, that really soft wood doesn't give you the same sort of sensation and feeling that you get while working with real hardwoods. So when you do go to a hardwood, you might be a little bit surprised about how it behaves under tooling, so you just kind of, I like to tell people to work with wood. That's the actual wood they want to eventually work with if you can get a hold of it.
You made Mom a cabinet with pine. There's
I did.
a super chat right there from Nathaniel.
Nathaniel. Boop. Okay, Nathaniel says, how do you position your cabinet saw in your shop? Do you have to open a garage door to rip long stock like a 10-foot piece of 8/4? Mm-hmm. Well, no. My table saw is right in the middle of my shop. I suspect Nathaniel's never seen my show. Right?
Yeah, there's a shop tour that shows the layout of the shop. It's a 4-car garage.
Yeah.
So it's long ways.
And there is one, it's the 2019 shop tour. Mm-hmm. And even the thumbnail shows you an overview of the whole entire shop. I even got up in a ladder to get into the corners. So for me, when the luxury is there, I want that table saw sort of centrally located in the shop, and then I make sure I have enough room to go all the way around it. Now, if you're in a situation where you're up against the garage door, I've had a shop situation like that when I was working on in Arizona when we moved to the new house. I was working out of that garage. I had to figure something out. So even there, I had the luxury of the entire garage space. So I put it with the long dimension of the shop. So if your shop is a rectangle, putting the table saw with the long dimension is helpful. But if you are pressed against a garage door, you know what? Sometimes that's the only thing you could do is lift that garage door up, and then you have plenty of room behind the garage door, or flip it around and then your outfeed goes out the garage door. I've seen plenty of people do it. It's not ideal, but if you have to, you do what you got to do. Wintertime will suck, but
yeah,
that's what you got to do. And also watch any of our episodes. You'll see how the table saw is used, in my shop, and how much room I have around it.
OJ did a super chat and made me laugh.
I'm burpy. Oh, there's OJ. Okay. Okay, can't watch this time. Thank you for the future entertainment. No pressure. Make it one of your top 100 shows of all time. It's pretty easy, right?
Yeah.
That's
How do you figure? We got like 400 plus shows.
But it's just not that hard statistically to be better than a very wide group of shows.
Okay.
I think
we'll do our best, OJ.
I think we could score the top 100.
Got a question here from Tim JB. I heard a lot of people are starting to complain Web SketchUp slows way down with larger, more complex projects. I was wondering about this and how Fusion. Oh no, I'm misreading what he's saying. Fusion 360's change is going to affect guild plans. And Kyle said, "Do we know if the web version of SketchUp is going to stay free?" We don't work at SketchUp.
Nobody knows anything.
Nobody knows anything.
And everybody for the longest time was like, Fusion 360 is free. Like it was this alternative to SketchUp as SketchUp got more complicated and the desktop version started to go away. Look, guys, it's software.
When did Fusion 360 change their... Because do they still have a free model or is it paid?
Yeah, they're still a free thing.
They're still a free thing.
Yeah, but what's happening is, what always happens, you guys got to learn from like history and the way that these things happen. Software can come out, they put it out there because they want to gain traction. They got to get people using the software. Then it gets popular, and then they pull back. And then they start to say, here's the free version. The free version does a little bit less because they need to push people into that pro level. And I think the SketchUp or the Fusion 360 changes are really about, this one hurt, I think. This hurt a lot of the people who are makers who may be in that in-between territory of like for-profit business or just some person having fun making stuff, right? So they take some of these features away because they want you to put out a few bucks, right? And if you're making money from the software, if you're making money from the software, then it only makes sense that you should probably be paying some kind of a license fee. So everybody's like skipping around back and forth. And the thing is, I'm not chasing this, right? What I use to make plans, I feel is irrelevant. I like being able to provide files that are like a SketchUp file, or if we use Fusion 360, some kind of a source file that allows you to go into that program. But I don't think that that's necessary. If the world of free 3D modeling software just becomes so convoluted that nothing works well and nobody's happy with any free software, I'll just stop offering the files. What I have to offer is a PDF. And what I use to put stuff into that PDF is kind of a behind the scenes thing. As a courtesy, I love providing these files that we use to create those plans, but I don't think that that's a necessity. And it's not my job to chase software companies like this. It drives me nuts because, I get it. You get used to using a tool and then someone takes that tool away.
Or they change it.
but it's their toy. They can, they can change the rules at any given time, so we can't be too dependent on them. So that said, I don't know what the status of like large files bogging down the web version, what that looks like, or at what point you hit that threshold. I don't know, maybe our files, some of the guild files with lots of different images, like the bigger projects, maybe they do. I don't really know for sure.
Michael Donovan said in the chat that he downloaded the 2017 desktop version of SketchUp. He says it's still solid and you can find it on their website.
Yeah, that's SketchUp Make 2017. It's still there. I just think they're not going to support it from here forward. So as OS changes happen and compatibility starts to be an issue, but still for the time being, SketchUp Make 2017 is still downloadable, still something you can use.
And there's the web version.
Then, of course, there's the web version, which is what Brian's introduction is focused on. And my guess is they're going to continue to keep that web version free because it's still not a perfect solution for a lot of people, right? And that's what you want your freebie like to be as a business. You want it to be like good enough to capture people and to get them interested, but bad enough that there's a couple of handicaps that cause you to go, well, maybe I'll pay that licensing fee.
Apo Opina says, how do you decide what content goes on the free site and what goes to the guild? Good question.
Usually involves a coin.
It's usually me and him going, does the free site need some content? No.
No, a lot of times what it is, a bigger complex project is always going to be, I'm going to say guild first, right? I'm going to think, should this go in the guild? And if I can't use it in the guild, or I feel like it's been a while since we've done something substantial on a free site, then I'll say, well, maybe this will just go on the free site. So, it kind of depends. But if I haven't done a project for a long time in the guild, or let me put it the other way. If I just finished a project in the guild, it's very unlikely that I'm immediately going to go into another guild project. I just let that one breathe, and then I'll put another one out a little bit later.
Because the free site is really kind of the showcase of what you can do and just a little sampling of what you do in the guild.
Sure, yeah. And I think going forward, we are, I am committed to doing more detailed work on the free site, just because that's the kind of content that makes me happiest. I feel like I'm serving my purpose on this planet when I make a detailed woodworking video. When I make a video that's chasing algorithms or just showing highlights, to me, a 5-minute highlight, fast-forwarded, sped-up video really diminishes the amount of effort that I put into a project. So I think those are fun to make, and those are fun videos to share, like on social media. At the end of the day, when I look at what I've done, I feel so much better about a video that is as detailed and deep as the project was for me, right?
Purpose.
Yeah, and I think when you build projects like I build that tend to be a little bit more involved, a little bit more detail, then the video should reflect that detail, ideally.
Brian up the top is new to the WoodWhisperer
Oh, good.
and the guild.
What's up, Brian? Walrich or Walrick? New to the guild, and let's see, I used the Rubio monocoat on a project, and I noticed that you used a second coat of maintenance oil. What is the need or benefit of applying a second coat to a monocoat? All right, well, I do have a video on this, Brian, on the free side of things. It's how to apply Rubio to furniture.
It's relatively new, too.
It is, yeah, it was just this year. So check that out. That is going to go through all of that stuff. But I'll tell you very quickly, the universal maintenance oil that they sell is just a simple clear oil. It's an optional second coat. And essentially, it just gives it a little bit more sheen. I don't know that it's even adding much in the way of protection, but what I find with Rubio, it's very, very matte sort of finish. A little bit too matte for my taste. I like to see just a little bit of reflection coming off of a wood surface. So when you just finish with that first coat, while it's probably as protected as it needs to be for that finishing system, it just looks a little unfinished. And it's amazing how much that universal maintenance oil adds. I think they say 15% additional sheen. I might have that number wrong. But if you put the sheen on a percentage basis, I guess 15% is what they say. So it adds just a little bit more of a reflective quality to it. To me, it makes the piece look more finished and done, right? So that's why I do it.
Byron said, so you're saying the guild is similar to the SketchUp free version versus the pay version? LOL.
Say, wait, I don't get it. What?
So the guild is the paid version of SketchUp. And
oh, I see, yes.
SketchUp free web version is the free site.
Yes, that's exactly what it is.
Yes.
You got it. Look how I'm double fisting here my drinks.
Oh my gosh.
An animal.
Bill wants to know any chance of woodworking skits teaching beginners involved with Nicole.
You want more skits?
You want more skits? You really do.
Are you guys when people ask for that stuff, I'm like, are you really sure? Did you see the wizard costume?
I don't know. That was pretty funny.
Was it?
I liked it. I think it was adorable that Abe was like, we told her not to. We're like, be serious. And she just couldn't be serious.
I think there's layers of humor in these things where some people might find it overtly funny, right? Like whatever's happening there, that's a funny little thing. I find it funny in a way that says like, I can't believe this guy thinks this is funny. Right? That's the way I look at our skits. I don't find them on the surface level funny.
Oh, they're fine.
I just find it funny that we were willing to actually do that.
Yeah, look at this a-hole.
Look at this guy. Question here from Robert Morris. He says, tongue oil on cutting boards, thoughts? That's perfectly fine. Tongue oil, as long as it's pure tongue oil and not just a can that says tongue oil and has mineral spirits and
check for that.
All kinds of other garbage in it. As long as it's pure tongue oil, I actually think that's a great finish for food items because it's a curing oil. So once you apply it, unlike mineral oil, it will actually cure. And you could apply multiple coats and actually get a pretty, fair amount of water resistance out of it.
Yep. Dennis wants to know, is Jatoba?
Jatoba. Yes.
A good wood to use for cutting boards? It's oily.
Well,
isn't it?
It can be.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, out of the exotics, Jatoba has not, for the applications that I've used it for. By the way, this is like also known as Brazilian rosewood. You might see this in flooring, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what Jim had put in his house.
Yeah.
So I've had situations where it's really not like Babinga is kind of like that too, where some people report problems with oil-based finishes because of the natural oils in it, and then I go, well, I haven't really seen that in the pieces that I've had. So Jatoba is also like that. I have not seen personally a lot of oil that causes problems with finishing. What the heck was his question? I somehow got on the finish.
Cutting board. He wants
cutting board.
Cutting board.
I knew I lost the train of thought there. I do get a little bit nervous about exotics and cutting boards. Now, Jatoba comes across, like I said, because
Brazilian cherry, not rosewood.
Or Brazilian cherry. Jeez, sorry. Brazilian rosewood is
Thanks,
a
Jason.
very different thing. Thank you, Jason. So on a cutting board, though, I get nervous about recommending that other people use exotics in a cutting board, just because I think it's good to cover my butt that way. But I have used Babinga in a cutting board before, and I have used Jatoba in a cutting board before. And no one's died yet, which is always the best way to evaluate safety.
Oh my God.
So I'm going to tell you, just as a safety thing, it's usually best to avoid any kind of exotics in cutting boards. That said, people do use them all the time. If it's a very oily wood, absolutely 100% don't use it. It's just not a great idea.
I have another. You haven't seen any questions you want to throw up?
I actually do have one more question.
Okay.
Yeah, from Jack.
Jack.
How do you sharpen your bench axe/hatchet? I know you use water stones for other tools and a kitchen-style sharpener for knives and a burnisher for card scrapers, but what the heck do we do with an axe? Are there angles involved like a plane blade? Do we follow the curve with the sharpener or go against at 90 degrees in multiple passes, wax on, wax off? This kind of depends on the hatchet. Now, what I really like about the bench hatchet that Lee Valley sells, so let me point it this way, Nicole.
I was going to say, it's a little sharp.
Yeah, this little guy, the reason why I really, really love this is because you could take the blade off, right? So if you want to, you got a flat back on this side. By the way, this is not the same for all hatchets. They may be different, right? This one is just kind of unique in that way. But you got a flat side, so you basically are going to hone the flat like you would a chisel. And now you have a bevel on the other side, and that beveled face is curved, right? So that's a little bit harder. Now you could take the blade, and of course without the handle, this is a whole lot easier. And you could kind of just treat it almost like a kitchen knife as you go across that bevel or along the length of the bevel. But I actually find it easier on curved surfaces. This is just a personal thing. You don't have to do it this way, but I find for any curved surface, including the kitchen knives, this is the method that I use, right? So I'll get one of these little diamond plates, diamond sticks, and I will find that bevel, eyeball it, and I hold it in such a way that I can see what the heck I'm doing, and I follow it along like that.
Don't cut me.
I promise I won't cut you. I find that I have a pretty good degree of control this way, and it's a nice fat bevel, so I find it very easy to keep things really nice and sharp. And then, of course, you could still flatten that backside like a chisel or a plane blade. Right? That's what I do. If I had a hatchet that maybe had a bevel on both sides, same thing. Run it this way, flip it over, run it the other way.
I like Jose's question because it's so true. Why do American woodworkers say exotic to woods from Mexico and Latin America? When I lived there in Mexico, we called it by its name. It's kind of like saying Mexican food when you live in Mexico, I guess.
I think it's just a matter of being
food.
International.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's exotic because
it's not local.
It's not domestic.
Yeah.
Domestic means it came from the U.S.
Yeah.
Exotic means it's outside of the U.S.
So is there pine in
But then
Latin
again,
America?
I think, what's that?
Is there pine in Latin
know.
America? I'd be curious to know, like, because it just all depends on where you would live.
Yeah, good question. Well, I mean, that's the thing. I would imagine the local woods of any region are your domestic species and your exotic species. I guess let's put air quotes around that. Your exotic species would be things like American cherry.
That have to be
black walnut, have to
brought
be
in,
imported.
Imported in.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Does exotic, though, bring with it the additional, thought of it being like a rainforest would?
Maybe? I don't know.
Right? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
I don't know. That's a good question. But generally, I think you'll find a lot of woodworkers just kind of generically say exotic means not in the U.S.
Is Russian pine exotic?
Sure. That's super exotic.
I got a question here from Stumptown. Wasn't it talked about at some point starting a scholarship or sponsor fund for new woodworkers that guild members can fund? Yes, and we did that during the lockdown. And in fact, I went through, we had a ton of people donate, and I need to put up a post thanking everyone. But I do have a list of everyone that donated and the shop teachers that were funded. So we gave away 8 scholarships to high school and middle school teachers.
That's
to
awesome.
help them teach during the lockdown. And probably still, some of them are still doing virtual.
Yeah.
So we had a lot of people donate to that. The fund, I used up all of those funds for those 8 scholarships because the instructors got 2 to 3 projects each. So anyway, if you want to know more about the scholarship program, it should be on the WoodWhisperer. And if you just search for scholarship, you'll find it. So there you go.
Okay. I'm out of questions.
Oh, you're out of questions. I guess I can.
Yep.
You see any more? Because I have more.
So Mike Donaldson, he says exotic dancing. I mean, it brings up a good point. Is exotic dancing, would the thing that I do be called domestic dancing? You know what I mean?
No, it's just dancing.
Okay. Well, not the way I do it. But I get what you're trying to say, Nicole.
Right.
Okay.
I got a question here from Basti. What dust collector would you recommend? I have big tools, 22-inch 5 horsepower planer, an 8-inch 3 horsepower jointer, a saw stop, and a 22-inch drum planer.
Well, some kind of cyclone would be good. You could find there's still big floor standing sort of cyclone units and big powerful, more traditional roll around style dust collectors that could work. But if you have those big tools and you're looking to do a ducted system, I really think you should be looking at a permanent cyclone setup. And that is a whole new world of dust collection. Oneida is the company we work with. We've worked with Clearview in the past. They've got great offerings as well. Those are the only relevant new cyclones that I've had time with that I could give a personal recommendation for. So both are pretty great companies.
Apo Apina says, I'm 95% sure that the same pine species that grow in the U.S. and Finland, for example, so the exotic thing is in the eye of the beholder. I think so too. I mean,
that's what I mean.
Yeah.
I think it definitely depends on where you're at, what you're exposed to. Exotic, I think, just means we don't normally get this.
Yeah.
Right? Or naturally get it. Here's a good question, Brian.
I saw that one.
How do you manage a healthy relationship, also working around the clock together? There's a presumption here that we have a healthy relationship, right? What if we don't?
Oh no!
This is all a farce.
We've always lived together.
This is all we know.
Yeah.
Like, since we've known each other, minus the month or two leading up to you moving to California,
Yeah.
we've only known each other as roommates.
Right.
So it's just a dynamic that's kind of been in our relationship since day one.
Mm-hmm.
We've also been pretty good over the years about maintaining separate spaces. Although here we kind of broke some of those rules a little bit, but in the past we would always have like her office space, her video game space,
Yeah.
my
I still have
office
my own
space,
video game space.
right? We each have our own consoles. Like
Yeah.
there has to be a place where we can each go to get away from each other.
My closet.
She has a closet. In fact, I think when she spilled her coffee this morning,
That's
she
where-
just ran into her closet.
I did.
She's got a nice,
it's
decent
nice
size
and dark and
walk-in
quiet.
closet.
Like if you're ever looking for me, I'm probably in my closet.
Yeah, the problem is it smells like pee in there.
No, it doesn't anymore. For some reason,
Oh,
it
really?
doesn't smell that bad. But I am going to
Well,
get the carpet
when
changed.
Dougie was a puppy, guess where
Oh
Dougie
my
would
God.
run to go do a little pee-pee when he shouldn't have.
Yeah.
Anyways, so we're getting the carpets replaced. But I think it could be tricky. But I think respecting each other's space when we need it. I have this space, right? This is my play space, my workspace, and we actually do work very outside of this part of the show, right? We do work apart most of the day.
Yeah.
I mean, these days Nicole's hardly working at all because she's homeschooling Ava.
Yeah.
Trying to get her ready for the whole kindergarten thing. So, but I don't know. It's just, for us, it's just the way things always were. I think for couples who have to make an adjustment, and have to go from not living together to living together, there's a little more to think about.
I know all of your bad habits, and you know all of mine.
Oh boy, do I, Nicole.
Shut up. But I think that's a big thing, where if you go somewhere and then you had to spend 3 months together,
Yeah.
you're like, oh wow, I didn't know that was so annoying.
And I would say this, not to make this drag out a whole relationship advice show, but something we can always remind ourselves to do. Two things. Laugh a lot.
Yes.
Find reasons to laugh, especially after you have kids. Though there sort of becomes fewer and fewer reasons to laugh, but you need to keep finding those. And also, don't stop doing nice things for each other.
Yeah.
And that's something we could get better at doing.
Yeah. He
whether
made me
it's
coffee.
making her a coffee she didn't expect, her making me a bagel breakfast sandwich that I wasn't expecting. Those little things. Don't wait to pay something back. It's a pay it forward kind of thing, right? Always try to do that nice thing first. And I think that just keeps everybody in a good mood.
And don't keep score. I mean, that's a losing battle right there.
Yep.
Well, I did this and you should do that. No, it's just you're both adults. Pick, I don't like to do dishes, so he'll do dishes, but on an occasion I'll do them because I want to do something nice.
Right. Well, and the dishes are about like they're falling out of the sink and onto the ground. So that's when she's like, well, I guess I'll do something about this. It's time. Okay.
I waited as long as I could.
I put that
guess
off as
I
long
will
as
do
possible.
it.
Nicole Goes Into the Closet has become the title of today's show.
It's nice and quiet and dark.
Everybody is
Calming.
repeatedly letting us know that there is pine in Mexico.
Okay.
All right, what else we got? Anything
Yeah, I
else?
don't know what to tell you about.
Do we got more questions?
Yeah, I do have more questions. Questions?
I got more questions.
Questions. Renzo says, how flat does the sole of a hand plane need to be? I just bought a Veritas low angle jack plane and I can see some daylight under it.
Depends on where it is. I mean, how about putting it on some wood and seeing what it does? Ideally, you do want these things to be flat. I can tell you I've got a number of planes here. And because they are Lee Valley and Lee Nielsen, I do assume that they're, mostly flat or flat enough for my purposes. So I've never even checked them, right? And I think this is where a lot of woodworkers can get themselves in trouble by checking things. It's funny because it's like ignorance is bliss sort of thing. But you're looking at it, you're seeing light, but I'm assuming you haven't yet answered the question, how does it perform? Like, is it actually enough of a daylight to cause a problem? I don't know. But test it out, see if it is. That said, if it is a significant amount, then you might want to contact them because they'll either, grind it flat or maybe send you one that is flat. At the price that those two companies charge for their planes, you should be getting a flat sole.
Cliff wants to know if you're going to cover using Dominoes as one of the methods for installing breadboard ends.
I am.
Yep. Good deal.
By the way, I'm +1 today, Nicole, because I made you coffee. I'm going to write it on the whiteboard.
Okay.
I'm going to start keeping score now. After 40 years of marriage.
I gave birth twice.
Yeah, that only counts for 2 points. You only get 2 for that, Nicole. Just kidding.
Chris, did we already talk? No. Chris wants to know any recommendations for HVLP spraying powered by an air compressor.
Yeah, conversion gun. And I don't really know that much about conversion guns. I've never really used them much. I know Fuji does sell a conversion gun. We did a giveaway on that when they first came out with it. So look into the world of conversion guns, but I have no specific recommendations just because my, spray finishing has been really turbine focused since I started.
Sandy wants to know what the Hatchet is for.
Scaring Nicole,
No.
primarily.
What is it for? It's for chopping wood. Chopping
Yes,
the meat.
Nicole, it is
Chopping the meat.
for chopping the meat. I use it to do like riving things where I want to split off along the grain nice little pieces of wood to make dowels from them.
Okay.
And anything else where I need a really rough
So what's the
chopping tool.
That's not the same as the one you use for the barbecue stuff, right? That's a different hatchet.
Yeah, I've got like a run-of-the-mill, what's that orange brand? Fesker?
Yeah.
Not Festool.
I have the scissors.
Yes, yeah, they're
make
like a
scissors.
garden tool
Yeah,
brand. I've got a hatchet that I use to chop wood for the smoker, and that is not the same thing. This is like, if you could dare utter the words precision hatchet. Like, is that something people would say? This is a precision hatchet, Nicole.
It is a precision hatchet. Speaking of barbecue, someone wants to know
Chopping broccoli.
when your next barbecue video is coming out. He did record.
I forgot about it. I actually did the editing, and I have a rib video sitting on top of my computer, and I probably could release that today if I wanted to.
Go.
Yeah. You guys want a rib video?
Yeah.
Let's do a rib video.
Release the Kraken.
I already, release the rub, baby. I already did the editing on it too. So.
Jamie wants to know, what do you do with all your scrap wood? It's always just off camera. Is it just off camera in a pile growing forever? Yes, it's right outside the door.
We bought the largest Rubbermaid tote in existence. It's that black and yellow one that they sell at like Home Depot.
Yeah.
It's completely full. And typically in a non-COVID time frame, I wait till it gets to the top, and then I put a message out locally that says, anybody who wants it, come and get it, but you got to take it all. Like, you can't just pick and
through
choose.
it, no.
You take it all. So we've done that a number of times, and I haven't done that in a while.
Hey, so if you're watching and if you are local to Denver, email me, Nicole@thewoodwhisperer.com, and I'll put it on the corner for you, and you could come and take it all.
Part of the problem, though, now is because it's been there for so long, a lot of the wood that's in there is not in as good a condition as it could be.
We'll go through it and throw away.
So I do burn some of it. I give as much away as possible. I would much rather see these things go into future projects for other people.
Like a cutting board.
Than going into a smoker. But I will use it for some bonfires in the back, for starters, for the barbecue, and then sometimes when things don't fit in the racks, they don't fit in the box, and they are small enough, they just get thrown away. And I know people hate to hear that, but there's only so much you can do. Anything else?
I've been on I don't know if anybody else, after we came kind of out of lockdown, I just felt like I needed to clean and get rid of stuff so I went through old clothes, and it was like a whole thing.
Yeah.
We need to do that. A scrap wood challenge. That would be good.
Sure. The challenge is to who can burn it the fastest. All right, that's really going to wrap it up for our show today. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Anything else we need to remind people of?
If you are a $5 subscriber on Patreon, I will be selecting the Guild Project winner there.
Okay.
So.
And if you're a $5 or higher, Patreon subscriber, you get the after show, which is going to happen after this show.
I'll put a link
as well as the membership level. That's the $5 membership level on YouTube.
Yeah, go to the community tab for YouTube, and for those that are subscribed through Patreon, I'll put the link to the post there.
Yes.
Okay,
sounds good. Thank you everybody for watching, and we hope you have a wonderful weekend.
It's October.
Yeah, it is.
Go carve a pumpkin or something.
Go listen to some Devil Went Down to Georgia.
Hey, if you have iHeartRadio, just say, play some Halloween music.
There you go. Get a nice little playlist going. All right, have a great weekend, everybody. Bye.
Bye.